I thought Jonathan was opening this up.
No, I'll open up the one with mental health. That's the next one.
Okay, come on.
Well, how do you want me to open it up then?
I'll open it up. It's fine.
I'll
I need to
open it
do
up.
a bloopers.
I promise. Scout's honor. Wait, Scout's honor.
Let's get started.
Why they stopping me?
Welcome back, everyone. This is Scotty B on our 123s.
Scotty P.
Here with the For Responders podcast. I'm just glad to be here tonight. We've got a lot going on. And we're going to continue, was it 1 Samuel chapters 3 and 4, which you mentioned earlier. You get kind of morbid in there. It's pretty good, knowing that Halloween's coming up here soon, I guess, in a month. Dang.
Month away.
Man. Can't believe this year's gone by that it has.
Just for your Braves fans out there, Choptober.
There you go, baby.
Yeah.
Baseball gets good. October is the best, man. You got football, you got basketball starting up at the end, you got
Ruts right around the
baseball,
corner.
you got rut right around the corner. Depends how we need a cold front. We better get a cold front.
We'll be after them either way.
Yeah.
Might not want to talk about seasons too much on here because I don't know if I'm going
When you're
to
going
get
to
this
release
released.
We'll talk.
I almost said that long ago.
This will be released next spring.
We're about to be shocked with a hero, guys.
2025.
Make a little metal note.
Oh man. But you're right, deer season, full effect. Clint's out there dodging the cane brake and copperheads out in the woods.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Jealous.
I don't get to do that anymore.
Mm-mm.
Well, I could, but not much. But yeah, so we're here. We're gonna go over scripture, and then we're gonna enjoy just good conversation, and we'll see where it goes. So, what y'all think?
Right on.
Let's do it, baby girl.
Who's gonna open us? Who's gonna open us up?
I'll do it.
Jacoby.
Do we read
Yeah, let's go.
just straight through chapter 3, or are we going to break it up? It's not that long.
No, it isn't. It's actually they're actually
20
kind of
verses.
short. You wanna? We can read the first one. Just read the whole chapter, unless you want to read like the first 10 and then
You can
somebody
jump
else.
in after. Whenever you
Yeah, we can
whenever
do
you
that.
feel like stopping, I feel like starting.
All right. 1 Samuel chapter 3. The boy Samuel served the Lord in Eli's presence. In those days, the word of the Lord was rare and prophetic visions were not widespread. One day, Eli, whose eyesight was failing, was lying in his usual place. Before the lamp of God had gone out, Samuel was lying down in the temple of the Lord, where the ark was located. Then the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, "Here I am." He ran to Eli and said, "Here I am. You called me." "I didn't call," Eli replied. "Go back and lie down." So he went and lay down. Once again the Lord called Samuel. Samuel got up, went to Eli, and said, "Here I am. You called me." "I didn't call, my son," he replied. "Go back and lie down." Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, because the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. Once again, the third time, the Lord called Samuel. He got up, went to Eli, and said, "Here I am. You called me." Then Eli understood that the Lord was calling the boy. He told Samuel, "Go and lie down. If he calls you, say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" So Samuel went and lay down in his place. The Lord came, stood there, and called as before, "Samuel, Samuel." Samuel responded, "Speak, for your servant is listening."
And the Lord said to Samuel, "See, I am about to do something in Israel that will make the ears of everyone who hears it tingle. At that time I will carry out against Eli everything I spoke against his family from beginning to end. For I told him that I would judge his family forever because of the sin he knew about. His sons made themselves contemptible, and he failed to restrain them. Therefore I swore to the house of Eli, the guilt of Eli's house will never be atoned for by sacrifice or offering. Samuel lay down until morning, and then opened the doors of the house of the Lord. He was afraid to tell Eli the vision, but Eli called and said, Samuel, my son. Samuel answered, Here I am. What was it he said to you? Eli asked. Do not hide it from me. May God deal with you, be it ever so severely, if you hide from me anything he told you. So Samuel told him everything, hiding nothing from him. Then Eli said, He is the Lord, let him do what is good in his eyes. The Lord was with Samuel as he grew up, and he let none of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel from Dan to Beersheba recognized that Samuel was attested as a prophet of the Lord. The Lord continued to appear at Shiloh, and there he revealed himself to Samuel through his word. And Samuel's word came to all of Israel.
Eli sounds like a jerk.
He took the news well, though.
Yeah, you did.
He took the news well after he threatened the kid. Like, I mean, what the heck, man?
I'd have strangled a kid, keep waking me up, and keep calling me. No, I didn't.
No, stop bothering me.
Oh, man.
Boy, you come in here one more again.
I'm gonna learn you.
You know, this is it's funny that this passage always reminds me of how, you know, the little stipulations that a lot of pastors' kids have. And, you know, it's like Eli's supposed to be, you know, a big prophet in the Bible and a big person of God, and his kids, it's like, you know, God gives us this responsibility for our children, and yet Eli was doing, I mean, he's a very godly man, but he neglected, you know, gifts that God gave him, you know.
Sure.
I thought that was crazy because,
Sure.
you know, it's not like Eli was doing something wrong when he was indulging in the word and how biblical of a man he was, because, like I said, he was very well known and a scholar of the word, but yet the Lord like basically curses his family because he didn't know how to raise his children. And growing up, I saw that a lot with like nowadays. I think about it, like all the pastors I've had in the last 20 years, their kids have, most of them all been good, like turned out really good and really great kids, and not. But dude, when I was a kid, all the preachers I know, their kids were crazy. Like,
Preacher's daughter. And I mean, that's not a joke. Like, that's.
and they all grew up, they grew out of it, but it's like, and I wonder, was that because, you know, they might have been too involved in the church? You know, like, what, is it the same situation here kind of thing?
Mhm.
But I always
Could
think
be.
about that.
It might be a difference between immersing yourself in the word through love and the latter being fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
Because both are being immersed in the word, but one is right and one is wrong by what God wants for us.
Well,
You could have got caught up too, just like going through the motions type deal, and didn't really, you know, just lost sight of putting it into practice as far as like teaching and discipling his own family.
well, that's true.
That's
Like,
actually, yeah.
that's a good way of putting it because you know, like coaches sometimes, like I find myself like some coaches in sports, they're all on their kid and it's all about their kid and they're hard on their kid and they neglect the rest of the team. But I've seen myself in coaching trying not to show attention to Kylie because I want to make sure that I'm showing attention to everyone else. And sometimes I find myself not showing her the attention she needs because I'm trying to do something else. So that's a good point. Solid, very solid point.
I was talking to a guy the other day at the station about he's a little bit older, he's got older kids, and he's talking about
Everybody's older than you.
not everyone. Actually got a pretty young crew. I'm one of the old guys.
Oh,
Not that old. But anyways, we were talking about You know, like how do you keep your kids interested? Like what he had brought up is like he doesn't want his kids to ever feel like they have to go to church or they have to be a part of the stuff. He doesn't want them to feel like it's an obligation that they have to do. He wants it to be something that they want to do and that they enjoy.
Absolutely.
And so he's like, sometimes it's kind of hard to, you know, find the balance in that. And I don't know, I could see that potentially being like, you don't want to smother them with it to the point that it doesn't seem genuine to them or doesn't seem, it's not something that they want to pursue.
Yeah.
So,
You don't. Well, if you try to push anybody into anything too much, they're not going to want to do it.
right.
I mean, that's why kids, if you talk about sports, that's why kids quit sports. It's because their parents are too overbearing.
Mhm.
And they're like, no, I'm done with this. You know, what was good to me is not good to me anymore.
Right.
I can see that being very difficult.
Kind of think like the preacher's kid or whatever that you were talking about. I wonder if that could be part of it. I don't know. Just,
I guarantee you it's part of them.
right.
But yeah, I mean, I get it, you know? It's hard for parents to not be overbearing sometimes though.
Mhm.
So,
Our kids are young enough now to where they just love going somewhere and getting to play with their kids. You know?
mhm.
But I imagine that becomes more of a challenge as they get older.
Well, that's why it's important to have a good children's program, you know, and that's one thing about like our church. We have a great program, but it can be a lot better. Like, and what that has to do with the issue there is nothing that the people there have done. It's the fact that we're growing out of the facility we're in. We can't facilitate high schoolers and middle schoolers like we'd like to. So we can't show them more areas and locations and stuff like that, which we're obviously working on with the new building. But when the new building gets here, oh my goodness, that's going to open up so much more for those kids and allow like small groups to meet and all that kind of stuff. And we can't do that now. It literally like centers them to where we can only have like a Wednesday night for this group and Friday night for this group, and we can do this to this group. But the new building's going to really help. Like, I'm really excited about that because I think it's going to allow the people who work there for the church and Russ is going to have an office now. Like, I mean, a guy doesn't have an office. Like, how many preachers don't have an office, you know? And so,
So much room for activities.
oh yeah, it's going to really help our church to really flourish. I told him, you better have an outside area. You better.
Yeah.
You better. Did you hear me?
Or else.
Did you hear me? Y'all listen to me? I'm not scared of you. I love Russ. He's a good dude. He's a kid at heart, man. That's why I like him.
Oh, for sure.
That man wears kicks, like different kicks
Jordans, baby.
Yeah.
Hit the Jordans.
He wore some New Balances last Sunday. I said, your shoe game is weak today, bro. Like, nah. You're showing your age.
I seriously I've had one pair of Jordans my entire life, and I wore those out to where they had no grip left on the bottom.
Well, you had to, 'cause
I wore them out.
It probably took you a year to save up for them.
They were hand-me-downs, so no.
Oh, hey, my Jordans were too.
Yeah, and I wore them out, slap out.
I had the hair Jordans, which no one knows what that is, but
You say hair Jordan?
yeah, for Bugs Bunny. They were called the Air Jordans, like Air Jordan, but Air.
Love it.
Look them up, man. They're the ones that were the teal, purple, and yellow.
That's all, folks.
See, y'all don't even know, man.
I have to go
Yeah,
back
yeah.
when I'm editing.
I forgot.
Find a picture of these and
Throw it in there.
You have to. Y'all wouldn't understand. Y'all are too young.
Have a Looney Tunes thing in the back.
My children.
Uncle Scotty.
Settle down.
I love you.
Oh, Onk. Start calling you Onk.
It's like, what was that that movie? Oh man, what was that that movie? Oh man, my driver used to always call us this because he was older. He goes, was it Young Blood or Young? He goes, come here, Young Blood.
That's from the movie?
It was the movie where
I know.
I used to work with you, used to call me Youngblood all the
An
time.
SNL skit with the chess match in Central Park or whatever. Come here, young blood.
that might be where they got it from, but it was Uncle something, and it was like a basketball player who in the movie was an old dude. But
Oh my gosh!
what I'm
I
talking
know
about?
what movie you're talking about.
Yeah, they called him Uncle something, and he was a basketball player.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called.
It was like a bunch of famous basketball players. They all dressed.
Yeah, they were all in there,
They
That
go
was
to
pretty
play
good.
street ball with a bunch of people and just
I forgot what it was called. But it cost him, man.
I wonder what Eli was thinking. Like, here he is. He figures it out that God is speaking to Samuel, and he must be
Leave
thinking.
me alone.
He must be thinking, "Hey, I did something right. I discerned that this was, God's voice." And then, bam! God speaks to Samuel. And
Reverse
says,
draw forward.
Yeah.
and when Samuel relays the message,
Yeah.
Eli's probably like, "Oh, crap."
No wonder he didn't want to just tell me.
Yeah, I don't know. That was like the biggest thing that stuck out to me. Like,
Yeah, but look, man,
I feel like I've been there. Like,
you can look at it that
think you
way.
do something great or think highly of yourself or whatever, and then it's like reality check. No, you're dumb.
We do that a lot, man.
Yeah.
But you can look at it the other way. He didn't raise his Hophni and Phineas right, but he raised, Samuel. He did a good job with Samuel, obviously.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's weird too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of weird? Like,
I think, I guess part of that, or a lot of that, goes back to free will. I mean, if Hophni and Phineas were, they just got too power hungry or whatever you want to call it. I mean, they were abusing their positions of authority.
I mean, Scripture doesn't it doesn't really like look too highly upon them at all.
Mm-mm.
Not one bit. No mercy. Well, I guess earlier they did. He warned them.
Yeah.
So I mean, anyway,
I kind of saw it as like, just in the reflection. I mean, obviously there was much more to it, of course, detail-wise, but it's kind of like you were saying, you think that you're doing everything right and you're putting yourself into something, putting all of yourself into something, but God, at the end of the day, God will eventually reveal himself to you, either through someone else, through an action, some sort of event. And I mean, it's in one way or another, it's almost epiphanous. I've had it happen to me before where you're like, no, I really don't need to be going down this journey, or I'm doing it all the wrong way. And you thought that what you were doing was just and pure, but really it was a manifestation of either some sort of mental illness where you're obsessing over something, even though it's derived from a good place, or it was, the effects of the world, So that's what it reminded me of.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can get enamored in thinking what you're doing is right, but it's not.
Right.
I mean, if you're not in the will of God, it doesn't matter how many riches or whatever you do. If it's not the right will, then it's not right. You're going down the wrong path.
I mean, for sure, it's, I've seen it. I've even seen it in my employment. I've seen it with other people. It's very apparent, but it's hard to see until, kind of like with this case, until it, falls in your face and you're struck and you're surprised of, you thought that you were going down the right path, that it was righteous and it was, the intent was pure, but God's vision is eternal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You know what I remember? What this reminds me of? My teacher. She would love this. She actually is teaching Braylon right now. So my bottom middle, and she taught. The same teacher taught me this in 2nd grade. So that's how long she's been teaching. Her name's Mrs. Frazier, and I remember she used to read. We used to have like a Bible, and they had like cue cards that they would read to us in the morning time. And I remember, like for some reason, this is something like I remember when I was in 2nd grade, and I remember there's this time I remember what the little card looked like, and she'd go, and he tried to sleep, and he'd go, Samuel, Samuel, Samuel. And then just the way she said it, I'll never, like, I can still, like, hear that in my mind. Like, so every time I read this, I hear Mrs. Frazier going, Samuel. Samuel. She's trying to be like, because it's in some interpretations, it's just like a still small voice, like a very whispering small voice, Samuel, and the way she would say it, I'll never forget that. It was just crazy. Because, like, literally, I was like, what, like, 6 in 2nd grade?
Yeah, 6 or 7.
So
Yeah.
it's like I can still see her up there saying it, which is nuts though. And I tell Megan all the time, she's like, you know so much about the Bible. I'm like, baby, I'll tell you what, man, I feel all the time, if I wasn't raised in the Christian school that I was able to go to, and they taught me the way they did, and they had a lot of pictures and dialect, and they went over things, and that is what literally, that's why the foundation that I got there is the reason, like I tell people, I was able to say no and be a good witness and understanding of things in high school and stuff, because I remembered all that. It was very clear to me, and all that stuff stayed with me till this day. I remember a lot of those stories because of when I was a young kid. But every time I read this, I can hear Miss Frazier going, Samuel, Samuel. So it's cool. And she's like the greatest teacher ever, by the way.
Shout out to
Mrs. Frazier, Laura Frazier, you're the bomb.
yeah.
I love
Frazier
you.
mom.
She knows I love her anyway. She's the bomb. Best teacher ever. No offense to all my other teachers, but she is. I love y'all too. Almost all of you.
The ones who didn't get in trouble.
No, high school is rough.
The ones who didn't get me detention.
Well, I think they all did that.
Yeah. Scotty talking too much?
Yeah.
Who
My
would-
second favorite teacher is Mr. Hilliard. He still teaches too. He's like administrator, and he gave me more spankings in school than anybody that I ever. He gave me more spankings than my dad did.
Scotty, your age is showing again.
I know.
Corporal
Y'all,
punishment, baby.
did either of y'all ever get spanked at school?
In Arkansas, they still had it. So I lived in Arkansas for like, I think 2 or 3 years. So we moved from Louisiana to Arkansas and then back. And this was in Batesville, Arkansas. Shout out to Batesville, Arkansas, cow country or whatever that is. I don't know. There's nothing out there. There are a lot of
Razorbacks.
What is that a football team? All right. Anyway, so they still had it, and they had the paddle with a bunch of holes in it. Looks like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
He had a
was
skinny
like,
paddle, man.
It was
That
like
thing hurt.
this big. Yeah.
Dude,
My
he's
dad-
gonna get
my dad-
arrested tomorrow.
My dad had one like that.
Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh.
On the handle, he wrote the Holy Rod of God on it.
Yeah, I think you told us that before.
Yeah.
Because mine was Mom's Helping Hand.
It's a whole nother level of intimidation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, writing that and you read it and you're like, and it really is, you know.
Mine looked like a little cricket paddle.
Mm.
My mom's did. Mr. Hilliard's was really slender, so it freaking hurt.
Let me tell you something. Those country folks in Batesville, Arkansas, they know how to sling up a broken arm. I broke that arm, snapped it in half, and they just put newspaper and all that and wrapped that on up. And,
So random.
the only reason why I thought about it because it was in the same office that I saw the paddle, and I was like,
Did anything you could to keep from getting
oh
spanked?
yeah, and I got brought there. I was like, yeah, I broke my arm, and I'm gonna get a bath.
Slam his arm in the door real quick before the principal comes back.
What scares me is they're slinging it with newspaper. What kind of place is this?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it
Batesville,
was
Arkansas.
newspaper. Everybody, traumatic memory is.
Guy just grew up in Chernobyl. I mean, like, what can we find here to sling this thing? Where's Bear Grylls at?
I mean, oh, what I don't miss is those report cards they'd send home, and you had to get a signature and bring it back. And
I just did it myself.
I couldn't. My mom literally had like John Hancock, like cursive. It was perfect. And if she's listening to this right now, which she probably was, she's smirking right now. Got that really, really sharp grin going on. I mean,
Well,
it's seriously impossible.
I got 2 spankings for not having good cursive signatures online. I tried.
More detention.
They're like, Scott, did you sign this? Nope.
Cursive's like,
She's like, you do know that your mom's name's not Mommy.
Mom, what is your name? Speaking of which,
Mommy Brooks.
She was having all her day.
I don't think I knew my mom's name until I was like in 6th grade. I'm not even kidding. Because it wasn't important. She was Mom.
Well, that's why I got 2 spankings, because the second time I put Deb. They're like, I don't think your mom signed. You sure your mom signed this? Yep.
So
She signs it Deb Brooks. Oh, yeah. Okay. Go to the office. I'm like, great.
Get out of my face.
Please don't call Deb.
Yeah. Do not call Deb. Actually, yes, call Deb. Do not call Dad.
Deb Brooks.
What really stunk, though, I know we're getting off topic here, but I went to school with this guy. I went to
Sounds like
school-
all Phineas and Ferb in there.
What?
It was a joke.
I
Can't remember the first guy.
I need sleep.
Oh my gosh.
I went to school with the 2 brothers, and one was a year older than the other one, but they're in the same grade. And there's Ivy and John Waddell. And man, I really wish I knew what happened to those guys, because I really love them. They were really cool. But Ivy was a big dude, like husky, like, and I used to hate it. I always went to the office with him, and I'd always get extra spankings because he would always go first. And I don't know how he did it, but that guy could take a freaking spanking. Not even, his face would not even flinch. Didn't cry or nothing. And I would sit there and watch that, and every time I watched it, it'd make me crack up. I started laughing. He goes, "You think it's funny? You're getting an extra one." I'm like, dang it. I told myself this time I was not going to laugh. So then it got to a point where they're like, who's going first? And even though I did not want to go first, I was like, I'll go first. I'll go first.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, dude. Then we also got caught patting our pants one time. Jeez. Good old days. All
Gotta love it.
right, how about chapter 4?
Move on to chapter 4. But before we do, hit that like button. Subscribe.
Nice.
Share this video with somebody.
Please
You know what's
do
good
that.
for you. I was just kidding.
Yeah, you should be. Man, my app wants me to donate? No. This is a firefighter show.
They know we're broke.
Yeah, what the heck, man?
That
Already?
app.
We done? You want to start us out?
Yeah, come on,
Chapter
Coolio.
4.
Getting it up now.
You can't, what are you
Kill
doing?
it, dog.
What are you laughing at? It's the second joke that I don't understand.
Oh, hurry up, Hoffney.
But this and there's the other name. Every time I run it, I think of Phineas.
Oh, man.
Let's see.
Hey, if you want to know all the names, turn your Bible app to, like, you know, the
Second Samuel.
Where's that feature at?
the old King James, the old one where they have like the old scholar reading it, like the boring dude. He'll tell you all of them right.
What's up?
Hold up. Okay, hold up. 1 second. I was looking at my blue letter real quick. All right, where's old Hoffney? Oh shoot, I was reading ahead earlier, so I gotta go back. There he is. See if I can I start it there? Yeah, let's go.
Chapter 4. And the word of Samuel came to all
Oh
Israel.
man.
Now Israel went out to battle against the Philistines. They encamped at Ebenezer, and the Philistines encamped at Aphek. The Philistines drew up in line against Israel, and when the battle spread, Israel was defeated.
You should have acted like you were reading it. Like it was your voice.
Out of the field of battle. And when the people came to the camp, the elders of Israel
This might
said,
work.
"Why has the Lord defeated us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord here from Shiloh,
I'm
that
sorry
it may
I
come
asked.
among us
I know,
and
you-
save us from the power
Don't
of
blame this on me.
A man of Benjamin ran from the battle line and came to Shiloh the same day, with his clothes torn and with dirt on his head. When he arrived, Eli was sitting on his Philistines fought, and Israel was defeated. And
Oh.
they fled, every man to his
Oh.
home. And there was a very great slaughter, for 30,000 foot soldiers of Israel fell. And the ark
Including.
of God was captured, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, died.
See?
Boom.
A
They
man
died.
of Benjamin ran from the battle line
Sorry,
and
we
came
ruined
to
it for
Shiloh
y'all.
the same day,
Now I don't
with
know
his
how to
clothes
stop it.
torn and with dirt on his head.
Give me my bifocals,
Eli was
please.
sitting on
Give me my monocle. I want my monocle.
I felt like I needed some glasses a while ago.
All right, let's roll. See? Hoffney and Phineas.
I believe you.
Remind me real quick, where are we at again?
Chapter 4.
Welcome.
What I really
Welcome to the
like.
show.
1 Samuel chapter 4.
What I really like is when you hear about, is it Hoffney's wife has the baby and she dies? Old Ichabod.
I do remember reading Ichabod.
Oh, Ichabod. I do like me the headless horseman. Go ahead.
It's exactly what my mind went.
All right. At that time, Israel was at war with the Philistines. The Israelite army was camped near Ebenezer, and the Philistines were at
Aphek.
Aphek.
The Philistines attacked and defeated the army of Israel, killing 4,000 men. After the battle was over, the troops retreated to their camp, and the elders of Israel asked, "Why did the Lord allow us to be defeated by the Philistines?" Then they said, "Let's bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord from Shiloh. If we carry it into battle with us, it will save us from our enemies." So they sent men to Shiloh to bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord of heaven's armies, who is enthroned between the cherubim. Hophni, did I say that right? Hophni. And Phinehas.
Yeah.
The sons of Eli were also there with the ark of the covenant of God. When all the Israelites saw the ark of the covenant of the Lord coming into the camp, their shout of joy was so loud it made the ground shake. "What's going on?" the Philistines asked. "What's all the shouting about in the Hebrew camp?" When they were told it was because of the ark of the Lord had arrived, they panicked. "The gods have come into their camp," and they cried. "This is a disaster. We have never had to face anything like this before. Help! Who can save us from these mighty gods of Israel? They are the same gods who destroyed the Egyptians with plagues when Israel was in the wilderness. Fight has never before, Philistines. If you don't, we will become the Hebrew slaves, just as they have been ours. Stand up like men and fight." So the Philistines fought desperately, and Israel was defeated again. The slaughter was great. 30,000 Israelite soldiers died that day. The survivors turned and fled to their tents. The ark of God was captured, and Hophni and Phinehas, the two sons of Eli, were killed. I can't stand reading from this phone.
No, you can.
Then a man of Benjamin ran from the battle line the same day and came to Shiloh with his clothes torn and dirt on his head. Now when he came, there was Eli sitting on a seat by the wayside, watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. When Eli heard the noise of outcry, he said, "What does the sound of this tumult mean?" Maybe I should have read the dumb version.
What is the meaning of this uproar?
That's way better.
Much gooder. And the man came quickly and told Eli. Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were so dim that he could not see. Then the man said to Eli, "I am he who came from the battle, and I fled today from the battle line." Coward. And he said, "What happened, my son?" So the messenger answered, and he said, "Israel has fled before the Philistines, and there has been a great slaughter among the people. Also, your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God has been captured." Then it happened, when he made mention of the ark of God, that Eli fell off the seat backwards by the side of the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died. For the man was old and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years. Now his daughter-in-law, Phinehas' wife, was with child, due to be delivered. And when she heard the news that the ark of God was captured, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself and gave birth, for her labor pains came upon her. And about the time of her death, the women who stood by her said to her, "Do not fear, for you have borne a son." But she did not answer, nor did she regard it. Then she named the child Ichabod, saying, "The glory has departed from Israel, because the ark of God had been captured, and because of her father-in-law and her husband." And she said, "The glory has departed from Israel, for the ark of God has been captured." Oh, Ichabod.
Poor Ichabod.
That baby.
Should have been.
All right. Thoughts?
So I've actually been listening to the Enduring Words, the David Guzik podcast that Jacob told me about. And he brought up some stuff out of this I thought was pretty good. I don't know that I would have picked up on this, to be honest. But he was talking about with them taking the ark with them, they were putting their faith in the ark itself,
not God.
not God.
I thought that too.
Mm-hmm. And so, and then he even kind of hit on the other side of it. Like the Philistines didn't necessarily believe in the same God, but they believed in it enough to the point to where they're like, we got to fight harder than we ever have before. And then they ended up winning because they went into battle prepared versus the other folks. They're just like, yeah, the ark's going to take care of us.
It almost seemed like that the Philistines respected the ark of God more than the Israelites.
Right.
And how many Christians say, "Oh, God's going to take care of me," and then they don't do nothing? You know, like God calls those people fools. If He gives you something to use, but you don't use it, He calls you a fool.
I remember a preacher. I remember it was my favorite preacher as a kid that we had. He told a story about like this terrible flood came, and this man goes to the rooftop,
I was just about
and here comes this little boat along. He's like, "Hey man, get in. I'll take you to safety." He's like, "No, God's gonna save me."
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Well,
Takes off, and then helicopter came by.
Yeah.
"Hey man, hop in." "Oh man, God's gonna save me." And the floods kept rising, and eventually he drowned. He gets to heaven, he's like, God's like, what are you doing? He's like, "God, I thought you were going to save me." He's like, "Who do you think sent the boat and the helicopter?"
Yeah. Dude, I was just about to tell that one. Who was your preacher growing up? That's one of my favorite stories, though. I used to tell my baseball players that. You got to use the tools that God gives you.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't going to do it for you. Just like when you're playing sports, you said you can't just throw your glove out in the field. You gotta play the game. But oh, Hoffenheim.
Seemed like that's kind of what they did. They just brought the ark along and thought that's all she wrote.
Well, we find out later that the old ark made that god, made their gods look like an idiot.
Yeah, I like when they send them back. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. With the mule.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. We ran ahead.
I'm way ahead. But
Yeah, I couldn't stop.
yeah, I like that enduring words a lot.
I need to send me that link.
Yeah.
Or that so I can have it. Look it up. Because I was thinking about that the other day. That'd be something good to listen to while I'm in the car.
Yeah, for sure.
That's exactly what I've been doing on the way in the mornings. I've gotten frustrated because where I'm at now, I'm a little bit further a ride than I ever was before.
Mhm.
And it gets frustrated. Man, I'm just ready to be there, ready to get out of this car. But now I kind of look forward to the longer ride
Yeah.
because I'm making better use of my time, being a little more intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What's it? Enduring words? Is that what you're saying?
for troubling times, enduring words for troubling times.
Yeah, enduring word. He's got an app that has like the full commentary on there, like written out. But then he's also
I've got Spotify as well.
yeah. I don't think he's got every book of the Bible yet, like on audio, as far as like the commentary part.
Mhm.
But he's got a lot of the books of Bible on like podcast platforms.
I like to listen to
Basically, it's most of those recordings that are on the podcast are from like recorded sermons that he's done on
They're
each
pretty short,
chapter.
like 4, 5, 6 minutes, most of them, and which is great because
Yeah,
if you
it's
just
got
got
a
a
lot.
short ride,
It's
you
got
can
a
still
lot
get
on
something
there.
in.
Wow.
But
Very cool.
I think it's been pretty awesome.
I thought about taking the ark into battle was I thought it was a lack of respect. You know, it's I know it's like you're throwing yourself out there, but I mean, I don't know. I just felt like that was disrespectful.
Like if you held the ark in that high regard, why are you taking it to battle?
Yeah, like why would you? I mean, I guess it goes along with what you're saying. Like, I mean, they just didn't put their faith in the ark, not God.
Right.
But it's like, I thought it was super cool though, the fact that, well, cool and sad that, I mean, literally, the Philistines feared the ark,
Mm-hmm.
but yet it also drove them to the point where because they said they were about to quit, like they were scared, and then, you know, I guess one of the leaders stood up and said,
Fight like men,
"Yeah,"
pretty much.
and I just think that's I don't know, man. Like I just think that's kind of disrespectful. Maybe that's wrong. Then again, I mean that was their kind of like Bible. That was their.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the ark, like you couldn't even touch it.
Right.
So I mean, it was so
Right.
holy.
Right.
So why would you?
Why are you dragging it out there?
Yeah, why would you take that out there? I mean, and in the Holy of Holies, you weren't even allowed to I mean, only certain people, elite, you know, Levites basically and higher were allowed to go in the Holy of Holies, and
That's where they were tying the rope around your waist.
yeah, and so and
Pull
you
you
weren't
down.
allowed to wear any kind of coverings, you know, shoes or anything like that, and like very very holy holies, and they're
Sure.
then they take that thing out into battle. I just think it's disrespectful. I don't know. I felt like it was kind of disrespectful.
Actually,
It's like God saying, you know what? I'll show you who's in charge here.
Mhm.
It ain't a freaking, you know, art that you're taking out into battle.
I think it was, you know, I mean, gonna happen regardless, just based off of previous two chapters.
Oh,
I mean, you know, God had already said,
definitely.
if you don't get your house in order, like this is
Well,
like I'm gonna put an end to it.
well, look at it. You can look at it this way too. You're talking about a guy who couldn't be a father to his kids, and then he was the main religious person of the whole city of the Israelites, at the time. So I mean, what kind of influence was he on them?
Yeah.
I mean, broke his neck though.
Mm-hmm.
It's very unfortunate. He was blind.
I was like, man, I don't want to fall. I better watch falling backwards. yeah.
Mess you up.
Dead. Like,
I
God.
hated it. Like, it called him out, too. He was old and heavy.
That's what, man, I thought about that. I was like, wait a second. I thought they had pure few back then. Like, no additives. How heavy was he? I started
Heavy
thinking,
enough.
Lots
Yeah.
of grain. Lots and lots of grain.
hey, man, one reason I tell people I can eat as much bread as I want to is because manna is very similar, and God wouldn't give something bad to the children of Israel to eat.
Overindulgent.
Can I get an amen? Jeez.
Amen.
Amen.
I like my
Daydreaming
bread.
about food at this point.
Ain't no secret. I like my bread.
Oh, I do too.
No, I'm a rice guy.
I'm a potato bread guy.
Potato.
Is that the yellow bread? Is that
Oh
what that is?
yeah.
You know what?
I think I've
Sorry.
had that
You know what Kelsey's mom did the other day with like fresh dough or whatever that she made? She made like almost like a boat out of the bread and just filled it with like spinach and cheese
Yeah.
and pepperoni.
And then you
Oh
take the
my
bread from the
gosh.
middle and you dip it in there and
Well,
take it out.
I mean, but she
Okay.
made us like our own individual, like that was our dinner.
Oh,
Like
really?
we each had our own little boat, but it was just like
I've seen that where
It was so
like
good.
it's an appetizer
yeah.
for a party.
Soup.
Or whatever. Or
You
something.
said-
Yeah,
like it's a dip. In
It wasn't. I know what you're talking about. It wasn't like as what's that kind of bread called? Like where it's thicker or rough on the outside. What's that?
I don't know.
Not French bread. What's that? What's that kind of bread called?
baguette.
Yeah, kind of.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
It wasn't like that. It was softer. It was. I don't know. It was good.
It sounds delicious.
It was
It
good.
does.
Mm. Dang it.
I know what you're talking about now. I get it.
It's like on Panera, like you go get soup in the bread bowl.
Yeah, it wasn't like that, but similar though.
I wonder what ever happened to Ichabod.
Did we find out? I haven't found out anything about that.
I haven't either. I guess you just Ichabod. So what do you what did you get from that, Jonathan? What do you think that?
Yeah, I think that putting your faith, it's like a connection with the last one where whenever you believe yourself to be aligning with God, but putting your faith into something that is not in his design, is his intentions, and it's synonymous with what we see now in the world, for sure. I mean, we all fall short of it all the time. I think there's something to be taken away from whenever we believe ourselves to be, like I said, doing what is just, but really we're blind because we're not following trueness of the word. Actually, my boss says it the best way, in that we don't agree on a lot of things, but what he says all the time to me is that it's literally either the word or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's either what God's intentions directly through his breath or it isn't. There's not interpretation, there's not anything else. And it's his perfect design that he has for you. And whenever you deviate from that in trying to hyper-focus on things or trying to manifest something to represent him, that's whenever you're swaying away and you lead to spiritual demise.
Another thing, like, it sounds kind of bad, but I like seeing, when I read the Bible, I like seeing the Lord allow Israel to fail. And the reason I say that is because,
Like falling on its face type of thing.
well, they just got destroyed,
Yeah.
you know? And when you see that, you're talking about, like, God calls us, these are the people of God. Like, these are his chosen people. So it's like, why would he let something bad happen to them? But if it's the same thing with us, you know, like, a lot of times we fail, and that's what brings us back to the Lord, or that's what helps us strengthen our faith,
Sure.
or in general, people in general, you know, that brings them to faith. I think that, you know, failure is so looked badly down upon nowadays, but shoot, Kirby, after losing the Alabama game, said one day doesn't define who we are as a team. You know, it just helps us build on what we can get better at. And that's what I tell my kids in sports, you know, like, you have to lose to learn. And like the Israelites here, you know, obviously their mind isn't right. They're not putting their faith in God. They're putting it in a possession, or, you know, they're just saying, oh God, we're your chosen people. You should just deliver us. But like, if there's no basis there, and there's no like relationship, like as a Christian, you know, you're supposed to have a relationship with Christ. If there's nothing there, then, you know, sometimes bad things have to happen for us to come back. And you see that all the time. And I mean, hey, you see it all the time in scripture, especially the Old Testament. And then, like, well, look at Moses, you know. I mean, that man was in the wilderness for 40 years. And because he messed up one time, he wasn't able to go into the promised land. How crazy is that? I mean,
It's messed up too.
I mean, but
The first, $5? Is that what it was?
the what?
Talking about what he wrote. Talking about on just before that, wasn't it?
He wasn't allowed in there because they needed water, and the Lord told him to speak to the rock, and he struck the rock. He didn't speak to the rock. And because of that, gone.
He still let him to it, but he wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed in.
But he wasn't allowed in, which is even worse.
Yeah.
Gotcha, $1.
You see all this? This could have been yours. But no, I mean, so it sounds kind of bad, but like when I read that, it shows me that we have a God that will allow us to fall, but he's always there to pick us up. And that's the key. As parents, any parent should understand that, is that you have to be okay for your kids to fail. If you're a parent that never wants your kid to fail, and you just always try to help them through life and do things through life, your kid is going to crumble when they get on their own, because they won't know how. They will not know how to deal with adversity. When I see parents all the time, like, sitting there and they're taking their kids to this trainer, they're doing this, and when they fail, when they don't do something right, they have an excuse for them. Well, he did this. This is why. This is this. This is this. And it's like, no, it's okay. Let him fail. Let her fail. Let her realize and figure it out on her own sometimes. And teach her how to pray and ask for help and all that kind of stuff. That's another thing, is especially men and in the service, like in the fire service and first responding and police, you know, that we have a hard time asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like men in general, but like especially like alpha males, you know, they just can't ask for help. And a lot of times that turns into our demise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a hypocrite because I tell people all the time, call me if you ever need anything. And I love helping people, which I was super happy when Jonathan called me not long ago. And I'm like, great, you called me when I'm out of town. So then I got like sad. But I am terrible at asking for help. You know, I hate saying that, but I am. And I think we all are. We struggle with that kind of stuff because it's our pride.
I think people get wrapped up in the failure because it is a failure, you know, and it's hard to learn a lesson from something that you're ashamed of.
That's actually, yeah, being ashamed of it, yeah.
So the shame and the stigma attached to failure being, unmasculine and antithetical to what it is to be a man, which is so far from the truth. It's evident. That it'll blind you. It'll turn you into a person that doesn't make a lesson out of anything. Everything is just your downfall. It's just another step of your downfall. That leads to mental health, and that leads to separation from God, and that leads to separation from your family and your friends.
Mm-hmm. Y'all know who Judah Smith is? He's a preacher out in, I believe, Seattle. And he has this little bit, and I play it on Facebook a lot, but I listen to it, man, at least once a month, maybe every other week. And it's about Barabbas. And it's a whole bit about Barabbas. But in that bit, there's a part where he goes, God, he's talking as a person to God. He goes, God, I'm such ashamed. I failed you. I'm not good enough for you. And he goes, I'll still be here. I'm still here, like talking about God. He goes, but God, like, I'm not good enough. I'm ashamed of myself. And he goes, I still love you. I still love you. And he said, where do we come off thinking? He goes, no. But he talks about like, he goes, I'll still be here. And then he says, but God, I'm just not worthy and all this stuff. And then he'll go, what? He goes, what? That's the opposite of the gospel. He goes, are you bound? Are you hell bound? Like, he goes, where do we get off thinking that we can get ourselves out of it? And he's like, it's powerful, man. Every time I listen to it, dude, I've probably heard it 1,000 times and it still like makes my eyes water because it's so powerful and it just leads in from Barabbas to like, it's really good. I'll send it to you after this, but it's just like what you said, like we get ashamed and then we don't ask for help and then we put our faith in something that doesn't matter and it ruins us, man. It ruins us.
It's just whenever you have a society we're not obsessed with internal progression. We're obsessed, and I don't mean us. I'm just talking about as a people, it seems, with pleasure, with whatever gives you a fix temporarily, and that can't be for internal progression. You can't have lessons that you learn that way, because then that gets in the way of your pleasure. You can't. And that shame, I felt the shame for sure. When you let your family down, or you let your fellow brothers down, and it's a thing. It's frightening. It's something told. I can't remember where I heard it the other day, but it's like a fear that is absolutely paralyzing. And it keeps you from progressing because you just feel. I think it was in Russ's
Message
from his his sermon the other day.
Yeah, that was what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was. That's what it was. It's paralyzing fear. Keeps you from progressing.
You know what's crazy about usually when you have that paralyzing fear is that when you get through that, you look back, and I learned this in rookie school. Like, because there were things in rookie school that I wasn't really fearful of. And then when they push you to certain limits, you start, for some reason, getting this fear. Like I never had fear of like tight spaces and stuff like that. And then they started putting me in like these tunnels where you have to crawl through there. And if I didn't have all this crap on me, I'd be fine. But like, you have all this stuff on you, they just wore you down to where you're literally just walking like this. You can barely breathe. And then they're like, all right, go in there, crawl through. And like, for me, that's not easy. I'm sitting here like barely moving down this tube. and then my regulator goes off. So now I'm not having air, and I start freaking, like, I'm like, oh crap, what do I do? I can't get to my regulator. What do I do? What do I do? And I remember like having that fear, like, I'm going to die. Like, I thought, I was like, I'm going to die here. I can't breathe. Like my air's about to run out, you know, and I'm trying to get through there. And then my air goes out and then it starts going, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it starts sucking your face and you're like, and there's nothing there. Like, and I'm like, crap. But I just stopped and I was like yelling. And the more I yelled, the more you're wasting air. And so I'm like, I remember in my mind thinking, I'm going to freaking die in training. Like, you know, I'm going to be that idiot that everybody talks about, you know? But then, like, out of nowhere, I literally like hit my regulator on the bottom and cracked my seal to where I could get my bottom lip out of there and breathe and made it through there. But then after all that, like, I had that paralyzing fear for a second. Like, I was like, what the heck? Like, and I got out of, dude, I mean, my heart was, and I'm like, I get out of there. And I remember thinking about it later. I was like, they wouldn't have let me die in there. You know, like, this was all controlled. Like, they meant for that to happen. They knew that was going to happen. And I'm like, why did I not think logically about that during the situation? And then, you know, I think about that with God. Like, when we get that fear, we don't, you know, growing up when you're in high school, if you're listening, you're in high school and you're in college, and you're terrified of stepping out and like having that boldness, or you're scared of what people are going to think of you, or anything like that. Like, I look at that now and I'm like, I don't give a rip what anybody thinks about me, you know, like, but at the time, I mean, you were fearful of that.
Very real.
And you think about that, it's like, God was going to take care of me then just like he is now.
Sure.
Like, why was I like that? You think about that. And that's what kills me about suicide. And I know we're going to have a mental illness episode, but that's what kills me about suicide, because a lot of suicide is young, youthful people. And it's just, the devil sucks that oxygen from their face mask to where they can't think straight and they can't logically see that tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. And I think back about like when I was in high school and like when I get really hurt when a girl wouldn't like me or something like that. And I thought, oh, I'm just so depressed. And I look at that now and I literally am like, what was I thinking? You know, why did I feel that way? Like, that's ridiculous.
But it's very real.
But at the time,
Very real.
it's not ridiculous.
Right.
And that's why it's so sad to me. It's like when I see these suicides and when I see these young kids and I'm like, oh, like it kills me inside, because it's like they missed out on so much. And 20 years from, if they would have kept on pushing to the next day, 20 years from now, they wouldn't have remembered half the things that made them feel that way. And it's just like, oh, that just kills me inside. It kills me inside. And a lot of them is because there might not be a strong faith base. There might not be somebody that actually is telling them that they love them. I can't tell you how many notes I've read. I've had the suicide notes sitting there, and it's like, I felt alone. I felt lonely. I felt this. No one cared about me. No one loved me. I was just, and it wasn't that at all. You know, the devil lied to them. But yeah, they took the lie, and it's easy. And it makes me think, it's like, gosh, man, like that's the worst part of my job. It's like thinking about when I run suicides and I see youth, and I'm just like, and some of them hanging themselves. I mean, that's intentional. Like that is as raw as it can get. And it's just like, man, like
I know this is like way far-fetched, but that reminds me of like jujitsu. And just,
I'm going with you.
Let me explain. Because he's over here like, what in the world?
That's just my normal face.
It's an awesome face. So
You really
you know, whenever whenever you're rolling on the mat, you got your partner, and you have to have a very intense faith in your partner that if he gets you in some sort of choke, whether it be a blood or an air choke or both, that they're going to stop.
Yeah.
And you will come out of this, and you'll actually come out of this better, but that you're going to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're facing death or serious injury, you know that you're going to come out of it better, and that you're still going to be protected, and that this is part of your training.
Yeah.
And that's,
I mean,
really, that's whenever you were talking, that's what I kept thinking. I said, oh my gosh, that's the best way that I can see it with the relationship with God.
mm-hmm.
And going through those things, like as silly and as real as that paralyzing fear of just what people think of you or failing, all those things.
Yeah.
It's a fear of failure too, I think. But like back to what Scotty said a little bit ago, like that's not the idea of the gospel.
No.
Like it's not about what we can do. I mean, yes, it takes us putting our trust and faith in God and who He is and what He has for our life, and what we do according to His will, or aligning our will with His, or vice versa, however you want to say it. But like, it's not about anything that we can do. It's all what He has already done for us.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of the gospel.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll drop Russ's name yet again, but that the series that we're doing at church, Grace Upon Grace,
It's good.
I mean, that's it, man. Like,
He's done so well with it so far. Like,
Yeah.
so well.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But my wife and I were talking about this the other day, and we were talking about there was a situation, but then also like it, how big trails happen, and you get into certain things. And I said, how crazy is it? Is that Satan never fully destructs us. He will never be the one that pulls us all the way down. All he does is he starts it. Like I told her, I said, you get a pick in your pants, It's like Satan, what he'll do is he'll create that pick, and you can barely see it on somebody's clothes. But if you find it and you pull it, it can unravel a huge hole. It can unravel. I mean, it can, to the point that it can literally sever that part of your pants or your shorts or whatever. How crazy is it? It take 100 pounds of dynamite pulled out to implode a 1 million pound building. The Satan's just putting little sticks here and there. He's just poking you, like he doesn't, because if he actually pulled you down himself and created the whole problem himself, then he'd be revealed. And everybody would know what evil is. There would be no questions like, well, yeah, here's what happens. This person did this because this, but Satan doesn't work that way. We talk about, Russ brought up how, was it Dahmer?
mm-hmm.
Professed Christ in his last days.
Yeah.
And he said, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't feel right, does it? A lot of Christians, it probably doesn't. I talked to Russ after that, and I said, actually, man, if that is honestly true and he actually meant what he said, I don't care about the last whatever years. It depends on his heart, and only God knows his heart. But how happy we should be for that? If that really did happen, even though how disgusting and terrible and just an absolute epitome of evil he was, we should actually rejoice in that. Scripture says that the angels rejoice in that.
I feel like we should feel kind of encouraged by that. Like if he could take somebody that far gone,
He can take anybody.
Absolutely.
You know how many people have told me, my grandfather, before he died, and I witnessed to him, he and I were crying on the bed, and he literally kept telling me, he's like, I just can't do it. He goes, I'm not worthy. I've never believed in God my whole life. I've never showed him any attention. I'm too far away. I'm too far gone. He said that to me 4 or 5 times. And I kept on telling him, yes, you are. You're absolutely worthy. He literally died for you. And And so I think about like, I get why somebody would feel bad about that, but like that shows you how the devil will work in somebody
He's
else's
such
heart.
a foothold in your life at that point that he's got you completely deceived, because that's the gospel right there. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, you're not gonna ever earn it, but it's already won.
It's like I told Megan, and I'm not tooting my own horn or whatever, but like for somebody who literally, I've made my mistakes, but literally my whole adult life, and when I started, when I was a kid, I made stupid mistakes, but even as a kid, I made great decisions overall. Like, I should look at that and be like, what the heck, man? That guy did everything he wanted to do, as evil as it was, selfish, and his erotic desires and all that he fulfilled. And I said no to all that stuff. That's the attitude that Russ is talking about. But for me, like, I didn't think of it that way at all. Like, I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. Like, but you know what? Even him, like, who was it? Was it Ted Bundy? It wasn't Jeffrey. It wasn't Dahmer. It was either Bundy or the other one. Dang it. The crazy one, not Ted Bundy. Bundy was the business-looking dude, right?
Charles Manson.
Manson. So Charles Manson did an interview, and I'll never forget this. And he said that they asked him, what triggered you to rape, murder, kill, and all this stuff? Even necrophilia, And he said, I was walking down the street one day and I saw a Playboy in a trash can. And he goes, I picked that Playboy up and I read it and I looked at the pictures, and over time that wasn't good enough. So I moved on to something else, and then moved on to something else, and then moved on to something else until it got out of hand, until I was doing what I was doing. And you think about that, that's exactly what Satan does. Like, all he had to do is put that little temptation that America says now is, that ain't nothing. But that right there is what turned Charles Manson into Charles Manson. Think about that. You don't know what Satan could reveal inside of what the world and what sin has created you. Which is scary.
Yeah. Throwback to another Casting Crown song. Slow Fade. You heard
It's
that?
a slow fade. You want me to sing it?
We should have done a tally if I broke out the song.
I think it's at least 4.
Double digits.
And that's
Hey, just notice.
compared to never.
Whenever the high hook comes, I'm done. I stop. He ain't going there because it's going to be.
It's 5.
It is.
Same song. You can't count the same song twice.
How many times you broke out in song, not how many songs you sang.
Oh, we're just creating the rules as we go.
Yes.
I guess. Well, okay.
I'll have to figure out how to put a counter up there.
Ding ding ding.
Well, some of them wasn't on, like while we were recording then.
Oh, yeah, true.
That's
We
it.
were recording, but I don't
That's
know
your
if we'll make the final cut.
bonus tracks.
It all blends together.
Drop a beat.
No one's saying.
But yeah.
I know we didn't prepare a segment, but does anybody have a segment they want to do?
Oh.
Because we didn't do one last episode. I feel like we need one.
I thought we did a song, didn't we? Did I do a song?
No, but you did read that.
Something.
You
Oh,
did read
the poem.
Yeah, the poem.
I thought I did
That was a
something.
good poem.
I thought it was awesome.
It was. I don't know. I mean, you doing a segment?
You got a word?
Why do you keep putting me on the
I
spot?
feel like Scottish.
Well, we also-
about his too. Like theirs are much easier on the spot than mine would be.
Oh,
Look
is
up a
mine the
song
word?
now.
Mine's. You talking about like word of the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a
that's
word
what
of the
you
day
are.
for us?
We know you.
He's forgotten about his segment. It's been so long.
Oh,
Yeah.
You just volunteered yourself.
Hey, we can't. I
I'm
mean,
gonna make it up. This
we know he can't say Hoffman and Phineas, but go
This
ahead.
episode has been it's been a struggle for Jonathan. I'm gonna make it up on the next one. It's been a struggle. I'm very tired too, guys. You just have to ignore me.
Yeah, that 4:30 coming early.
I mean, for real.
What's
Here, you go with your segment. Let me think of a word.
Oh. All right. Well, yeah.
Oh, hold on. I got an idea. I'm gonna look up a word. I mean,
It has to be reasonable.
I know.
I'm not spelling bee champ.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think any word that you've brought up in your segments has been reasonable. I think anything's on the table. I've known what all of them mean. Meaned. Yeah,
Meaned?
there you go.
There's a
Minted.
random-
I know what they all minted.
You got a random word generator. Let's
Oh.
see if Mouton can give us the definition of it.
All right, let's see.
I'm probably gonna fail.
Oh man.
It's gonna be some crazy, like,
Make sure it's not. Oh, cool.
doctorate word. Can I get
Sure, I'm
origin
trying
as
right
well?
now.
Can I ask for origin?
Man, these are.
Use it in
Wealth.
a sentence?
Wah, wah, wah.
Didn't work.
Is there a sophisticated word generator?
We'll be like
I'm not going to tell you
show
what.
after the football games.
Is that ASMR?
I typed in
60
random
minutes.
smart word generator.
Oh yeah,
Random smart word generator?
smart guy. Make me
Random
into a
smart word
guy.
generator wealth. Okay, sounds like me.
Just go to ChatGPT, man.
What the heck is that?
Yeah,
You know what
actually,
ChatGPT is?
that's a good point. The AI
There
machine.
you
I don't know what that is either.
You know, we
Next
put
time
in
you have a long report to write.
I went from way too easy to way too hard.
You know, we actually, back at the sheriff's office, we actually put in Chat GPT, why would someone want to become a police officer? It's a great question for an AI machine. Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Great question for
It
anybody.
generated the most beautiful 2-paragraph.
What'd you say?
He said it's a great question for anybody.
I wish I could get this to read this.
Sure.
Ooh, roasted.
Boom, roasted. What's the hard word?
I'm
not
trying
gonna
to see if
do
I
it,
can
right?
get it.
If he's smiling at it, there's no way I'm going to get it.
We'll see if he's the campion.
I got a good answer, Scotty, though.
What? What? It would be a cop? What is it?
So it won't be a firefighter.
Oh, who's Dragger?
Yeah, this sucks for you. Dude, there's a guy at the Kroger in Covington that calls us that every time we go in there. He goes,
Who's Dragger?
"Hey, hose draggers. You know, my son is a Atlanta. He's not Atlanta. He's like a something PD." And I'm like, "Oh, dude." Every time. Like, it's like, you can't think of anything new to say?
Clint, you
ready? You ready? You ready? Are you ready?
I don't know it.
Bathythermograph.
Bathythermograph.
Bath?
I know what that is.
Bathroom
Get out of town.
thermograph?
Bathythermograph. Seems so easy to pronounce.
Can you spell it?
BATHYTHERMOGRAPH.
Exactly what I thought it was spelled like.
Bathythermograph.
Thermograph. Okay, so it has to do.
Bathythermograph.
So it has to do with the. It's like a medical instrument, of sorts.
It is an instrument of sorts.
Thermograph sounds like an instrument to
It's-
measure some sort of wavelength.
It's an instrument that measures.
EKG.
It's the instrument that measures the volume of your bathwater.
What? Was he right?
No.
Okay, thank God. I was
I
like,
mean, it'd be a
please.
heck of a stretch.
What's that
So
game
it's an
called?
instrument.
You know what I'm talking about? Boulder Dash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Where you get a
That's
word and you like you have
That's a good game.
write out the
Wait, is it-
definitions.
I used to always
Is it like?
Awful.
Is it similar to like?
As crazy as it is, Scotty's not terribly far off.
Bam.
Oh, okay.
But so it's an instrument for recording water temperature as compared to depth.
That's the dumbest word ever. Bathy thermograph. Are
It's
you
only
kidding
dumb
me?
because you didn't know it.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah,
That's true.
here's what I'm just gonna, what we just
Yeah,
learned-
here we go.
What we learned about that segment is
you picking like
Scott should
names
have the
of
word of the
ridiculous
day, not
I
Doctor.
didn't pick it. It's a random generator, bro.
It's okay, man. College guy.
Contradistinguish.
You're a college guy too.
Yeah, but no.
Contradistinguish.
I mean, the opposite of distinguish. Contra.
To distinguish by contrasting qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just
does
like
it-
in the video game Contra, when you have very different qualities when you pick up a different gun. That was easy. Y'all never played Super
That was the dumbest word I've ever heard.
Y'all never
Next.
played Contra? On Nintendo? Oh, it's one of the best Nintendo games ever. Dang.
Your age is showing again.
Yeah, I know.
Here we go.
I still have my Nintendo. I put it up the other
Yeah.
day. Mm.
I mean, I played Nintendo, but I
I'm
didn't
not even gonna try
play
it.
that game.
It's
Gone now. It was a cannibal.
It's
I always played
there's-
Mario.
there's a
and
code.
Duck Hunt and
Duck Hunt was
An old
the-
dog would come out laughing at you when you
what was
missed.
the boxing game?
That was
like
my
Dicey Punch Out.
Yeah, Punch Out.
the clinging little orange guns. Cling, 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 cling.
Yeah, they don't work on new TVs.
That stings.
They only work on the old school like bubble TVs.
Yeah, I didn't know that. You would
Yeah.
think that they would, right? Because they
I almost ordered one because mine broke in storage, and then like somebody told me it didn't work, and so I started researching it, and they're right. Yeah, it doesn't work on like plasma and LCD.
Yeah.
It can't because there's too many pixels, so it can't pick up. Can't pick up where it is.
Really?
Yeah, it's too It's too defined.
I cannot get over Bathy thermograph. Bathy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't that hard.
Jonathan, actually, you're kind of dumb. I just want to tell you.
I didn't say that, brother.
Yeah.
I don't think that for a second.
Well, we did say earlier, Coolion.
I didn't know the
It's
easy
not
words.
cool.
Nah, you were Coolion.
Coolion.
Coolion. Like Coolio. You know, the dude that died recently.
Yeah.
Great rapper, Coolio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coolio, My Soul. Great album.
Word.
Y'all don't know. Gangsta's Paradise. Amen.
Oh yeah.
That's the only song I know. Coolio.
Slide, slide, slippity slide. Whoa. That's 5.
No, that's 6.
6.
I don't know.
All right, y'all.
How far are we in?
Too far. Too far.
Far for the chorus.
Well, we're gonna get out of here. And
Amen.
thanks for watching, listening.
But we got prayer requests.
Oh, prayer request.
We need some because
Yeah.
I got a lot of things going on.
By the way, Scotty, shout out to Scotty for throwing some awesome posts on our Facebook page.
So, I noticed that when I post on there, it now like, all right. So I'm gonna run you down real quick. I was gonna jump off Facebook
Mhm.
because I just all the stuff when I see people on Facebook, they just with the whole election thing and
Why do you
Just-
think I don't do it?
yeah, it was rough, man. And I only get back on it because of this. Like literally, I only got on it because of this. But I need to find a link because I should be able to send it to Instagram too, right?
Well,
How does that work?
Instagram, you can only do
Pictures?
and videos.
So anyway, so I was about to get off, and my wife was like, "You used to come on there and try to be so positive to people, and that's why you were on there." I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Why don't you just get on in the morning, say something positive to start the day off, and then that way, you just get off." And I was like, "Okay." So that's what I started doing. Every morning during the week, I'll just get on there and try to say something positive or something on my heart, something like that,
Mhm.
and then I get off because I can't do with these. Some of these people are on it all day long,
Yeah.
and man, I'll be honest with you, dude. It's when I got off in 2019, dude. It was like a weight was lifted off of me. Like it was crazy. It was like so liberating.
Mhm.
And so when I make that post, like, and I get off, like when I see other people who are on Facebook or social media all the time, like it almost like creates this feeling of like anxiety. Like it's weird.
Mhm.
And so, but
I
anyway,
can't stand that feeling
yeah.
because it's almost like a tightening of your chest.
And the only thing I think of is that when I see somebody on there, I think that they're reading and seeing the same things that make me feel so like sad and upset and all this stuff. And it's just not worth it. And so, so I started doing what Megan told me to do. And when I posted, right before I posted it, it now like alerts you and say, do you want to add it to one of your pages? Because, and so I just click it every morning and it starts adding it to our page.
Yeah.
And it's like super easy.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if y'all saw my post this morning, but,
Yeah, I liked it and I shared it.
yeah, we've been going, there's been a lot of people recently. There's been a lot of hurting people, and it's been weighing heavy on me because I really feel for them, and I pray for them, and I hurt for them, and there's nothing I can do, you know, like especially when you're talking about like cancer or illnesses, and you sit there, I'm here for you, but there's nothing, like you're just helpless, and so I just try to encourage them as much as I can, and obviously, my thing today was about my two brothers / mentors in the fire service in Cherokee that are struggling with cancer, and we just lost a really good one a couple weeks ago. Deacon Dave is what we call him, but Dave, he passed away, but he had cancer for like almost 4 years, I want to say. It might be a little long, and they didn't. I mean, he survived a good 3 years. I mean, more than 3 years after they told me he wasn't going to live. I mean, he was out there, dude. So I was talking to one of my buddies the other day that has cancer. I was like, man, he was such a light for God. Like crazy how influential he was. I mean, I just saw him at the 9/11 climb last year. I mean, he didn't even look like himself because he'd just gone through chemo and he was about to go through more. And, but man, lived every day. Like, I hope that I have that strength, man. I mean, incredible guy, incredible dude. My best friend, one of my best friends, Philip Carlisle, pulled him out of a near LODD, like a near death. The front porch collapsed on them. They were sitting in a house fully, I mean, this thing's ripping. And the front porch collapsed because there was a basement that went under the front porch. Old houses, a lot of old houses are kind of like that. And one of my buddies, who actually is going through cancer right now, he was on the front porch too, but he got pulled out. And then another, one of my sergeants at one point got pulled out. And then this guy who passed away from cancer, when he fell, all the bricks and stuff fell on him. And so my buddy Phil jumped down in there and just started pulling bricks off this dude and helped get him out. And Phil will never tell you the story because he's just a good dude. Like, he doesn't care. He doesn't want anybody to know. He'll be pissed that I'm telling the story. So, like, but he pulled him out. And that's how I knew who he was. And we used to train with Woodstock a lot because he worked for Woodstock. Anyway, we lost him a couple weeks ago. He's a great man. Two of my, like I said, mentors and them there, it's just been real rough on them recently. And then one of my good friends, she's not telling a lot of people, but she's dealing with cervical cancer, you know, so she's back and forth because she moved to Florida. And then my aunt, I don't know for a fact what kind of cancer. I think she had bladder cancer. But she had a lot of other issues in her bowels and in her body. And my dad told me last night that they didn't give her 24 hours. You know, she's past that, but every time I get a text message, I look down because I'm thinking it's going to be them telling me that she's passed. And I just pray for Doug, her husband, because he's a wreck, man. And just think of all these people. And so I asked people to message me and put on Facebook, you know, who needed prayer and everything. And, you know, I'm going to put them on our prayer list. And some of them don't even, you know, my buddy Matt, you know, he said, you know, my uncle's grandma. And then I had another, one of my good friend's moms. She said, you know, her friend, Martha Clark. And then, you know, my neighbor Tim, you know, he's great, man. He dealt with cancer and got through it. You know, my dad's had cancer 3 times. Another person, Peggy, her second cousin Tracy Church Cushman's got cancer. I mean, and then I've gotten so many others, like people that don't want to name people, but it's just like, and you can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one disease, you know? Think about everything else these people are going through, and all I want to do is pray for all of them, and it just, I don't know. It's hard to do that. But, you know, I think that's part of what this is. I think that we need to, you know, get that kind of out there and let people know we care about them, and that we're going to put them on a list, and we're gonna pray about them and think about them, and if I need to come up with that list and stuff, and well, y'all have prayer requests, I can, and I can email it to y'all or send it to y'all, and that way y'all can pray too. And because I believe in prayer, I believe it's strong.
Absolutely.
I would love this for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do y'all have any? So do y'all have any prayer requests?
Yeah, there's a.
Hold up, man. I gotta get to my notes.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was like, hold up.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a coach at one of our schools at Carver Middle who has cancer. I don't really know the specific type, but I think it's like, I want to say it's the earlier stages, so he has a chance to fight it.
Mm-hmm.
But he definitely is a man of God, a true like mentor and coach to these kids out there. And I mean, he could be anywhere he wants to be, really. I mean, he plays in the NBA, and I mean,
Yeah.
but he's chosen to be here.
Yeah.
So
Great honor.
just keep
Basketball. He's a basketball coach.
Yeah. He's kind of another one of those like Sergeant Vaughn types that, I mean, just the love of God is pouring out of him. And you know it every time you talk to him. So that's kind of been heavy on my heart here lately after learning about that a few weeks ago. One of my first cousins, his wife, we got a text on Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday that her uncle was on like trying to help somebody out after the Hurricane Helene, trying to help them repair a roof and everything. He fell off the roof and basically, I don't know exactly what happened, but he was in critical condition for a few hours, but then shortly passed after that. So they're my cousin and his wife were, especially his wife was pretty shaken up about it. Shaken. I think the hardest part about that was kind of, they weren't really sure, you know, if he was a believer or not. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, those are
Sorry to hear that.
the main things.
Yeah.
That I've got right now.
One of the guys on my crew, his son, I can't think of how old he is, 6-ish, 5, 6. He, as a baby, they had an outlet on him and saw that he was an SVT and put him on some medication for it, got it in check, and eventually took him off of it, and everything was good. Hadn't had an issue for years. Well, apparently he was playing baseball and just wasn't acting quite right. My buddy, he said for whatever reason, he just thought to check his pulse, and it was tacking away like 220 or something. And so they ended up going to the hospital with him, got him on some meds, I don't know all the details of it, but anyways, he was at the hospital. They thought he was good. They discharged him, and they weren't gone for 20 minutes, and he was able to tell them something didn't feel right, and they checked again, and it was through the roof again. So they turned around and went back. And so I couldn't tell you what they got him on. They got it that day right now to the point where he's gone and played baseball. And I thought it was kind of cool that they cut him loose. So, hey, if he feels like playing, let him play. And so I can only imagine as parents, they're still probably terrified of letting him do what he needs to do, letting him play and be a kid. But so far, I think everything's been good. That was over a week ago. And these things will still be doing good. I'll just keep him in prayers that I got everything sorted out. And then if there is another issue, that they catch it soon enough to where, because he was telling me, he's like, they had a board behind him getting ready to do CPR on him, kind of deal. And he knows that. He's sitting there, and then I guess somebody in there asked, hey, do you want to take the board out? And the doc said, no, I'll leave it. And he said, I was just like, tough as a parent, just sitting there knowing why it's there. And I can only imagine. So, yeah, I was good. Everything's good right now, but I keep him in the prayers. Everything stays good. I guess he's too young for an ablation now. We're gonna try to wait a little while, let him get a little older.
Yeah, usually. How old is he?
5 or 6. 5 or 6.
Yeah. They probably didn't know. You got any?
Any and all the people affected by the factory fire. I'm not gonna shout out the name or anything, but the one over in Rockville County. So I think I prayed about that earlier today, but I really think that because we just don't know. We don't know, and I had a little anxiety about it earlier today because I just was, imagining myself being in that area. So
They transported a few cops and some firefighters from there, didn't they?
In
Did they?
2020, I think they had like 18 or 20 people
see, I didn't even know that.
that went to the hospital.
And they evacuated the hospital, the Piedmont Hospital. That's what I heard.
Did they end up evacuating it?
That's what I heard. The last I heard,
That's what they said they were doing.
17,000 people,
Jeez.
but not in the hospital, obviously. But totally.
So, speaking of something drastic like that, mass casualty kind of thing, obviously we need to say prayers for everybody who lost family members and whose houses flooded and all that in Helena. 'Cause we got very fortunate. Like,
Yes.
we can joke about like, oh, I slept through the night. I said that to somebody the other day, but then I was like, but man, like I don't know how it missed us like it did, but I mean it wasn't even a storm here, and then it went around us and destroyed. I mean, obviously it destroyed
So
the Gulf and
Tennessee and the
Florida,
Carolinas.
gosh,
Oh, the Carolinas.
Tennessee and
Yeah.
Carolinas got Savannah.
I couldn't
all
understand how bad it was in the Carolinas.
They got destroyed.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't know how good we were that it didn't get us, but things we can't see, we seem to forget. And I don't think we should forget that. There's a lot of people who are hurting right now.
I agree.
We lost power for a couple of days and we're like, it sucks. But those people, they ain't never going back to their home. And I think it was 20 plus. I don't remember the final number, but I know it's 20 plus people who are dead.
Yeah.
And that doesn't count the people who are injured and hurt and all
Yeah.
that.
And displaced
So,
so
I
many
mean,
people.
there's that. I want to rest his shoulder. We can still pray for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, my family.
Mentioned the mass casualty. Yeah, there's another one too. Appalachian High School. Everybody, first responders, everybody involved, teachers, students.
Absolutely.
That's-
So, I didn't even realize this, but the teacher that lived, who got shot twice, he is my first aunt's, husband.
Really?
So, my uncle and aunt got divorced, and she remarried and he remarried. Well, Aunt Lisa, got remarried to David, who was the teacher that got shot that lived.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've been praying for them, and I'll be honest with you, I've never met him, but you know, like just to hear my cousin talk about him and everything, and to see what people have said. I mean, he seems. I mean, I'm sure he's a great man, especially if he's a high school teacher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but that's crazy. I had no clue.
Right.
You know, and the people who lost, such tragedy.
I was hearing a story recently about somebody that had talked to some of the first responders that were first on scene. I guess it was EMS had gotten there, and one of the teachers that had been killed, they had them loaded up to head out, and they literally had to take them off and set them on the ground so that they could go find another patient.
Put someone else on. That's the red black tag.
And they said that apparently those folks, I don't know if those guys or girls, but apparently those folks are taking that pretty hard, taking them off and setting them on the ground and leaving them. And I can only imagine, you know.
I mean, when we've gone through that training, you think about that. You're like,
It's easy when you're training.
yeah,
Well, I say easy, but it's, you know, you're not actually talking about a human life.
yeah. You just think about that. Like in a mass casualty, they teach us we're supposed to leave the reds. You know, like
Y'all know it, you know, red, black, sure.
Yeah.
you're supposed to leave them, and because they're so close to death that there's a chance that they probably aren't going to make it. So you just, I mean, it's crazy. Like I always thought about that if I was in a situation like I don't know how I could do that.
Right. So like what Scotty's talking about, if you're listening, you don't know, like a black is an obviously dead person that's just already dead. And a red is somebody that's so critically injured that they're not dead yet. But you're
It's
leaving
imminent.
behind-
It's almost going to happen.
yeah, right. Somebody that we would normally try to take care of and transport, but in that situation our efforts are best spent on somebody that's more viable.
Yeah.
And that's, I can
Yeah,
only imagine making that decision in real time on a real incident.
Mm.
So,
I just don't. It'd be hard
yeah, especially
Because-
with kids.
because you got to look at the level of what red could be. I mean, red could be somebody bleeding out, which could easily be helped with a tourniquet. You know, like something, but you can't take your time on it. It's man, when you talk about it, it's rough for me to go through those trainings.
You know, a lot of what we do, the situation dictates a lot of what we do. And that's going to be dictated by the number of patients you have, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Just think about, they've made that decision on the fly, probably the right decision, but I'd be willing to bet that they question it.
Oh, absolutely. Think living with that, wondering if like were they a red? You know, were they just a bad yellow? You know, like because there's no distinction. I mean, they don't say if they're this, do this. If they're this, do this. It's on you, dude. Like you have to figure that out. Anyway, I'll read real quick. A friend of Amanda we used to know for a long time, Jimmy Phillips, passed away this morning. I've been friends with his son and their family for a long time. They used to go to Victory Baptist Church in Loganville.
Mhm.
Also, the old pastor of Victory, who was one of my mentors, probably the best pastor I've ever met. I used to always tell him if I'd passed before he did, I want him to do my funeral. And but he passed away a couple weeks ago. His funeral was the same day as Chief Eddie's funeral. I wasn't able to make Chief Eddie's funeral because of that, but I mean,
I'm on shift.
it's a firefighter funeral, you know. I'm glad they sent him out the way they did, and I pray for his family too. You know, I've seen him, I've never met him. He used to do some trainings at Newton, but I've never met him. I know some guys that work with him, and you know, I can't imagine.
Shoot, I thought I read about another lineman who's death in Georgia related to the hurricane.
The chief,
A tree fell on his truck.
yeah, what?
I can't think of what county.
Yeah, Blackshear. It was
Blackshear.
in Blackshear. Yep, his family too. Then so the Sparks family for Steve Sparks, who passed away a couple weeks ago. Gosh, great man of God. God, great man of God. O'Hearn, who was a firefighter in Cherokee. I don't know I got a call on Saturday morning. I don't know all the stipulations or what they've come up the conclusion of what happened, but his girlfriend hadn't heard from him. She went to his house, see where he's at, and she found him dead on the couch. So Cherokee's been hit hard recently because there's also two other people there who have cancer on top of my two mentors. who are there, plus our chief had cancer. We had another Cherokee firefighter whose daughter was riding a horse. She took the lead to the horse onto a gate, and she was 9 years old. She put the horse on the gate she was feeding the horse. Something spooked the horse. The lead got wrapped around the gate. When the horse spooked and ran off, it crushed his daughter, killed his daughter.
Mm.
And then this happened with this. So they got a lot of hurt. There's been a lot of bad things happening within the county recently. So we'll just pray for the whole county in general. And then, last but not least, I think right now, I think they're doing well, but really close friends of ours, Travis and Meredith's son, he's had, I'll probably get it wrong, but man, he's probably had about 7 heart surgeries. And he's a great kid, awesome kid, wonderful. He's a cab fireman, captain over at 23. And so, great guy, great family. But, every time they have to go in on him, I mean, he's had, like I said, 7 open heart surgeries. And then obviously Murray, who we had on the show, his son's heart surgery went well, but, there's always, worry there. But a little baby having open heart surgery is terrible. I can't imagine. So, there's that too. So sorry to be the Debbie Downer, but people need prayer, man.
Absolutely.
Those are just people who have physical and, think about, we all need prayer, and these people need prayer too. So, if you're listening to this, please, man, like Jacob, hit him up. I've been talking too much anyway. Email us, message us, whatever.
Yeah, you can drop it in the comments below. You can email us, respondcommunity@gmail.com. You follow us on Facebook. You can message us there, or on Instagram. It's Faithful Responders on both of those. But yeah,
We'll get back to you as soon as we can.
absolutely.
We're good.
We will do our best.
Forgive us if it's a brief pause.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you. We promise.
Yeah. If you really want to get a hold of us, the fastest way would be to message us on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
That would be the fastest way. And then obviously don't shy away from email, but I got 5 emails to check, so
I don't always check
Same.
mine.
I've got a lot.
but we want to know.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah. Thanks for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you got any thoughts or any breakdowns you want to share of 1 Samuel chapter 3 and 4, you leave those in the comments below. Maybe you picked up on something that we missed. We'd like to learn from you. So interact with us that way as well. But that's it. Everybody's good?
Yep.
We're going to get out of here. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace.
Extra bonus edition. It's like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
You look at the end credits, and then the little spaceship shows up. About Navy SEAL, talks to Navy SEALs, Rangers, and all those guys. He had Trump was on the show, and he had what's the dude that
Is
used
this
to
the guy that looks like a Crimson Chin, or is this the guy that looks like he has a 5 o'clock shadow all the way around his head, like it never stops?
Oh no, he looks pretty.
It's that guy? It is. See? He knows. He
Really?
knows. Yeah, he knows what's up. I don't make stuff up. Sometimes.
Yeah, I was about to say what. Yo, Coolion. That's like a Papillon.
That's
What's
like
that?
a booyah.
What's Papillon?
What?
Oh.
You mean Papier, like Baker?
Mm-hmm. It's somebody's last name, I guess.
Is that a
Papillon?
I don't even know if that's big. I'm terrible.
Which
Or
one
is it,
of the
is it, a,
trains
is
is
it a
happy
drink?
on?
It's a drink.
Happy? I don't know.
That was. I have to look it up later.
But after you see it, I think that's a brand.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
I don't know. I'm terrible.
Rein us in. Only you can do it.
Too bad.
Only you.
How,
Only you can prevent forest fires. In a world where so Arnold he was there in 2020 when it burned. Then you know that thing's burned several times.
Yeah.
Apparently, 4 times since 1992, 3 times since the 2000s.
So it's burned more, but not the building. They've had where they were able to get enough bags out before the building. Yeah.
So this is the worst.
So he would explain this to you. And when he comes on, I was going to, you can explain it. But what he says is that, you know, it's pure chlorine. That's why it has a reaction. You know, a lot of the chlorine we mess with isn't, it's not, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reactive water reactor?
No. What's it, when you, no, when you have something that's not, it's not been added to, it's,
like a base?
I'm trying
Like a base
no,
molecule?
like
sugar?
when you get weed killer and you have to concentrate. So it's completely concentrated. And so when that gets water, it starts to have a reaction which heats up. And then if it's touching anything that's flammable, it'll catch on fire. And so it's in bags. So if it's outside the bags, it'll get those bags and then it starts spreading. So that's what happens is that in the state of Georgia, because that's a commercial structure, it has to be sprinkled. And they have to have a sprinkler system in there or some kind of
I thought they could have a phone system.
suppression system. They have foam systems and then they also have oxygen efficiency
Halon
systems,
stuff.
halon.
Yeah.
But they don't have it because it's an old building. So they just
It
keep
don't matter. You're next to millions of people.
the same old plans because it's sprinkled in a commercial structure. It passes code.
your grandfather did.
Unbelievable.
It passes code.
It's okay. People die every day. So what?
He says it's a matter of time. He goes, this isn't like, this won't be the last time it happens. He goes, it's going to be a matter of time before it happens again. It's happened 4 times.
Or- Rockdale County could, not to be polite, could do something and actually pull the permits and not allow them to do business in Rockdale County. Because this is an ecological disaster.
If they made them,
humanitarian
they could
disaster.
make them get a halon system because there's another factory like that that's, I think in, not Morgan. It's over on the other side of, not Jackson. Anyway, there's another smaller factory and they actually have halon, like oxygen efficiency systems that drop down and just take, and then after it takes all the oxygen out, smothers fire, kills it, they go in and remove the product.
We worked. Did you ever work any of those? The Facebook beta?
No.
I remember I walked that entire building. I mean, they separate into quadrants because of how
Oh, yeah.
huge it is. Each one.
And check this out, how many people do you think work there?
Oh, so I was told, because I asked that question over and over and over again. Finally asked the bigwig, the guy over the entire project, and he's like, I don't know, maybe 50 total in the entire site.
It's not even that bit much.
And he said on site was like 2 to 3 each building. And that's just
Oh, you're talking about
engineers.
every building. They got about 15 per building.
Yeah, so he was saying that there was just engineers that would walk around and just check and monitor.
They monitor the modems, and if something goes wrong, they fix the modem.
That's right. You know how many safety protocols that they have in case for a meltdown? I mean, they have 2 different water systems. 2 different water systems that would generate power. One's underground, and one is in giant vats outside. Uses reverse osmosis to power it. Yeah,
You know what's crazy?
that's just 2.
The whole second floor of that place is nothing but fans to cool the underground modems, and they run 24/7.
I remember that. Yeah, I never. They didn't allow us upstairs. They didn't allow us upstairs. None of the police were allowed upstairs. Only certain people were. And the energy marshals would go in and they're like, "Yeah, if there's an arc flash happens, I'm dead. So you won't see me." And I was like, you been drinking? You all right? Like, what are you talking about? You gonna die? He's like, yeah, these suits are just, it make you feel better. They won't protect you. You'll die.
Oh, it's like the bomb
Bomb
squads.
suits. Yeah.
My dad always tells people they wear those suits. They wear their suits just to keep their body intact. I should be this guy. But judgmental trash.
Yeah, I hate myself.
Can we start?
Yeah.
Wait, have we been recording?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, sweet.
I told you that.
Oh, well, welcome to the show, people. I gotta change it up because if I sound just like them and say just what they say, they can sue me.
Who's they? I don't.
Oh, sure. It's not.
You're supposed to.
You can take
Who's
it out.
they? Oh, you don't know who they.
Because we're bigger. We're better. The Clint, because he doesn't know what he needs before.
Or faster.
Stronger.
Doesn't kill you, makes it stronger.
You sang more tonight than I think I've ever heard you sing.
I mean,
I don't know what's in those things.
I don't know what if I'd call it singing.
It's happy juice.
I think this has been fermenting because it.
Well, they've been up here a while
It's
because
fun.
it's so long in between recording sessions.
It's fun. That is. I enjoy watching this.
Yeah.
It has aftertaste, man.
Just chug it. That way you get.
I don't know if you saw me, but earlier I was looking at the ingredients. I was like looking. I was like, "Is this one of those mini Four Locos?" This might sound crazy, but we actually ran an arrest on a kid. He was either 20 or 29. I want to say he was 28, and he was in cardiac arrest because he had butt chugged.
What?
Play stupid games and you
Oh,
win stupid
I
prizes.
mean,
Like
No.
it stopped. Like I don't know how or what happened, but when we got there, he didn't have a pulse.
so I don't want to do anything that
Now it could have been
if my
something else
mom
involved.
shows up, I
But
gotta
they-
go. And my mom goes, how
Just
this
wait, I
happen?
can explain.
Yeah, how this happened? And I go,
Well, the problem is that when that happens,
Relax.
when that happens at these parties, nobody
you're telling me it fell in there. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's
no
crazy.
one comes up to the guy, like somebody could have gone down there and pulled his pants up, But when we got there, I'm not playing with you. When we got there, we would have never thought it was that. But when we got there, we went. Well, that he is on the ground,
Face
out,
down.
obviously not breathing. His pants are below his knees, and he has a funnel sticking out of his butthole. And everybody's standing around him. Now, one
Oh,
person-
Jimmy, you did it again.
one person thought it'd be decent enough to go over there and yank that thing out and pull his pants up. I hate saying it, but that's what I was thinking of the whole time. I was like,
Every time I hear stuff like this, I think.
I didn't want to mess with the crime scene.
whoa,
Hey,
man.
Scotty.
Every time I hear stuff like that, I think of like, who was the first person that
That tried that.
You know what? We're doing something wild tonight.
So,
We're gonna drink it through our butts.
I mean, and let me tell you, it was a dude with an ascot on. I'll tell you that right now. Dude with an ascot.
It was one of my 3 or 4 that actually walked out of hospital when I was in cardiac arrest.
Did you make eye contact with them whenever you left?
Nah, I didn't do that anymore. I started having dreams. Thanks for ruining the call. I started having nightmares, so I stopped looking at my patients in the eye when they were arresting.
No, I was talking about when he left, not whenever.
No, I didn't see him walk out. I just heard that he did.
I wasn't. What? No, I'm not that morbid. I wasn't. Were you making eye contact while he's,
All right, that makes me think of something. We had,
Scotty, what are you doing?
Hey, is there a way you can start? Like, we can have everything we just said on there? And you put the beginning? Yeah, whatever. Just block everything I just said out for the last 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think I'm gonna clap.
Okay.
Your club, no count.
Oh, clappy.
What if I was like interceptor clap? As soon as you start, I just.
Be a dirty move. Dirty move. Do we need to turn that off? We should probably turn that off, right?
We can delete the last 20 minutes of conversation.
I forget that you can still hear me even though you didn't have your headset on.
I really thought that we could just.
Hey, glad you're back. We had a great idea.
You'll never know what you're talking about. You wouldn't believe it.
So some disconnects when I take them off. Anyways, it's just funny.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
I'm telling you, there's something in these.
All right, so you want to do it again?
You set up.
Sure.
Want me to do it? I don't care.
Let's see.
Either way.
No, we're good.